Okay, welcome back. This is Roberto with Full Curl Precision. This is kind of just a simple talking type video. I know there's the SHOT Show going on recently, and there's a lot of videos circulating, a lot of the new things that are coming out, and it's kind of cool to see. I know one of the talking points lately is the big hubbub around the Weatherby 25 RPM. Am I going to get into it a whole bunch? Not really. And I'll tell you simply why. And that's because I don't really care. There's nothing wrong with the 25 RPM in of itself other than the fact that it's overpriced. It's a really good cartridge for what it's intended to do. I'm starting to hear that there's a little bit of discrepancy as far as data. Am I going to really look into it? No, because it's kind of hard to tell whether or not data is getting skewed a little bit, being that it's singular source. Could it be stacked? I don't know. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. What I am going to say is this, though. When you go onto their website, this is on Weatherby's official website. They give an MSRP of $79 to $109. So for round numbers, it's $80 to $110 per box of ammunition. Now, I know it's supposed to be this really flat shooting rifle that's pretty comfortable, easy to pack around, this, that, and the third. But I'm hesitant to really feel like some sort of draw towards a practical side when ammunition costs that much. Because by the time you balance out that $30 price point, so if we meet in the middle, your average box costs $95 right now. At $95, you're talking $4.75 a shot. What's so fantastic about it that it should be $4.75 a shot? And again, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it isn't accurate. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying it doesn't have the fast twist rate. But one of the things that I did find interesting when it came to that was they mentioned that they were doing everything to keep it inside 3.34 inches. Which I was like, why? Because in order to accommodate that anyway, they didn't adjust any length in their action. You can seat out inside of, if you have a standard action for a long action, you can seat out past 3.5 inches because that bottom section on most actions is 4 inches long. I don't understand the obsession of we have to keep it to 3.34 inches. It's irrelevant. Am I saying that it's a bad thing to stay within 3.34? No, I'm not saying that at all. But if you're going to do a standard length action, instead of trying to consolidate everything down to as compact as possible, utilize the space you have. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying you have to create some absolute monster cartridge or some ultra long thing. But at the same time, utilize the space you got. And I'm actually kind of doing that with mine. I'm not trying to compact it down. I'm utilizing existing lengths and I'm just adding a little. And I'm going to stay within that length so you can still use a standard action. So if you already have a rifle and you wanted to build it in the chambering that I'm doing, you can be able to do it very easily. Depending on the exact action, I know like MDT makes their field stock, and when you go on their website, you can find magazines rated for 30-06, and they give different lengths. That's not for your case volume. Your case volume is 5 shots either way. Excuse me, trying not to sneeze. Anyway, I'm talking about your case overall length. One allows you to seat out a lot further than the other, and that's what I'm using the build on. But one of the ones but besides that kind of, cool idea that isn't really sparking joy, I guess you could say that. For some guys, it really is sparking joy because they are quarter bore guys. I'm happy for you guys, legitimately. If you're a big 25 caliber fan, great. I love that you guys got a new cartridge. You kind of deserved it. Outside of the 25-06, there really wasn't much out there besides the 257 Weatherby, which, good luck even getting 500 rounds out of a barrel. There's that. So what I'm more focused on is what Savage just did in chambering a new rifle. They not only reconfigured their stock, they're now chambering in 6.8 Western. That, for the guys who are 270 fans, that's a big deal. That's a victory. Okay? Because for the longest time, the only rifles that were really available in the 6.8 Western were like a Winchester XBR, which is, it's not a bad rifle, but it's not that great. You had to either go with that or a slightly higher end Winchester or into the Brownings. And if you didn't want to buy those, there was only a couple other options. For a very short time, Seekins, chambered in 6.8 Western. And by the way, I'm not knocking them. They make tremendous rifles. Stupidly accurate and reliable. I have several friends with them. They shoot really well. But they also come with a higher price tag. It's not uncommon to see them in the price point of, $1,800 to $2,400 price range, depending on the exact model and setup. So for entry-level purposes, it's not really a very good option. It's a really good rifle. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing but respect for them, but they're just not a very budget-friendly build. And then the only other options were Christensen and Fierce. And, they have such a wonderful reputation of quality there. Enough said. Until they get their heads out of their butts and their reputation seriously turns around, I'm never even going to let them chamber in mine. Sorry. No, I'm not putting my name on anything I'm not allowing my name or anything I design to go into a rifle unless I can know that that's going to perform well with that guy. Because I'm not going to have my reputation ruined just because y'all decide to suck. Anyway, that being said, having it in a Savage. Now, the one they displayed was in an ultralight configuration, so it had a proof barrel. And that's kind of cool. But you can get them in an $800 platform in the 110. So that means now you have a couple options that are under $1,000 in order to get a 6.8 Western. Now your predominant ammunition manufacturer is going to be still Winchester and Browning. I'm hoping that's going to change soon. I don't know yet. It'd be nice if it'd be nice if Barnes and Sierra would jump on. And if anybody from Barnes and Sierra is listening to this, you need to jump on that bandwagon. If you're going to do the PRCs, you need to be doing the 6.8 Western. People want 27 calibers. You need to be giving them more 27 calibers. And I'm going to be adding to that collection as well. So if anybody from those big companies are seeing this and they're like, oh yeah, what are you working on? You can reach out to me. I'll respond. Okay? We'll work. I'm willing to work on a deal. But at the same time, I'm still working on doing the proof of concept to finish it up. Once I have that done, then we can talk. But other companies, other ammo manufacturers need to jump on this bandwagon. I don't care what Hornady does. They're not gonna do anything with the 27s outside of a standard 270 because, frankly, they're scared of the 6.8 Western. And for good reason. It's an actual short action, and it's doing everything their precious 7 PRC is doing. So, yeah, I get why they're scared of it, because they know that they can't do that. Or they had the opportunity and they didn't. So, with all that said, that's the one that's kind of caught my interest, is that new 6.8 Western from Savage. And you know what? With that being the case, and it kind of hitting that more practical side now, I might consider actually getting into it now that I'm getting my reloading set up. I've always wanted to get into that. I've always been a big fan of the 270 WSM. I hunted with it. My 2 longest kills are actually with a 270 WSM. One at 502 yards and one at 420. And yes, they were one-shot kills. I was in wide open terrain. They were on whitetails, but the rifles did their job. The rifle did the job every single time. So there's that. In either case, the opportunity to be able to shoot a 6.8 Western does appeal to me. But I'm not a big Browning or Winchester guy when it comes to their rifles. I hear a lot of good things, but they just don't appeal to me. And so, again, going back into who was next available was Fierce and Christensen. I was like, I don't know. I don't want to be spending $2,000 to $3,000 on a maybe. And I don't want to be spending, even if, I don't want to be spending any money on a rifle that doesn't have a great reputation. I like the idea of a Seekins, but again, I didn't have the $1,800 at the time to be able to buy one. So, I have to balance it out and I have to be realistic. That's why right now, I stick with a standard 270 and I choose to load with it the best I can because I have to work within my financial means. And so the same thing when it comes to this build, though. I've been saving up for a while. I've been fortunate to have a small investor that's helping me with this too, and he's interested in trying to get this off the ground as well. He understands it's going to be a long-term goal, so it's not going to be instantaneous turnover. That's kind of the challenge with this. It's not like an instantaneous thing, but I've been putting my hard-earned money into reloading presses, dies, bullets, got a tumbler, the walnut media for cleaning brass, name it. Been putting money into it. And so slowly this is coming together. I did post a picture again of the expanded brass and what it's going to be like. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really good cartridge. I think it's going to give you guys who like the 280 Ackley a more affordable option that's going to be very similar, if not a little bit better. So mainly because the bullet selection is going to be better for that exact type of rifle. The 280 Ackley doesn't really shine well with the 168s and up. And people are like, oh, it does well with it. Not really. That's a little on the heavy side for it. I think I am going to load and test for this cartridge in similar weight bullets because people are asking for them. But as a whole, the sweet spot for the 280 Ackley, and very similar to this, is going to be that 140 to like 165. And while it'll allow for a smaller bullet, I believe that the best way to do this is to start off in those bullet selections that are going to perform the best. And that's my goal. So 140, I've done so in other videos. I'm not a big fan of Hornady as a company. I'm not saying that they don't produce some good bullets or come up with some really good ideas. I'm not saying that at all. They've innovated a lot of good things, and I have nothing but respect for those who innovate. But they do their best to keep that innovation strictly to themselves and to stifle others. So personally, I'm not really interested in financially supporting a company that does that. I'm interested in supporting a company that actually lets people develop. And so that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to develop, and I'm looking to develop something that people can afford to hunt with, feel comfortable with. If you're a reloader and a tinkerer, this is going to be perfect for you because it's going to allow you to start with a very inexpensive case and develop something high quality. But yeah, I think that Savage in the 6.8 Western, I think that's going to be a turning point for the 270 guys. It's going to be nice to have a better rifle selection. Winchester just came out with they revamped some of their ammunition. Apparently, they worked out a bunch of kinks, and they're really getting this to go really well. So I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are too. I appreciate the support. I'm real close. Please help me get to that 100 likes. I can use all the support you have, and please keep tuning in. I promise there's going to be videos and reloading data. Am I going to give you exact case specs outside of pressure on mine? No, because again, I've already said this. I need to protect my butt on this. So I can't just give all the information away, because otherwise, what's the point of all this work? What I am doing this is mainly just for a little bit of the advertisement side of it. And yeah, we are working on a website for the hats and for the ammo boxes. We will be running a special on those in terms of like a package deal. So if you're interested, we are trying to do everything to offer as much of a good purchase as possible. And we're building them to be durable. This hat is not printed on. That's embroidered. Okay, you can see the shimmer in there. Yeah, that's embroidering. So the logo, I wanted to go with a method that, while being a little bit more expensive, is also better quality. Because if you're going to spend $35 on a hat, wouldn't you want the thing to last as long as possible? And the other thing too is I didn't go with a snapback. This is flex, okay? So it's kind of like a one size fits all, but I have a big noggin and it fits me. So, you can be a slightly smaller size and it'll fit. And if you're slightly larger, with a coconut like mine, it'll still fit. So, and it's comfortable and you don't have to worry about it, snapping on you or breaking. So I went with this style. I've been able to, I hunted with it this past season to see how it hold up in the elements, and it did just fine. And that's including some pretty stiff winds. It didn't come off my head. So, yeah, I do test the products we develop. So, anyway, that's all I have for tonight. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Hit that notification bell. I like hearing from you and what you guys do and what you're working on. And this is just a side point, and I mean this without any sort of price charge or anything like that. I like helping people achieve their own goals. So if you have some idea that you need some help with developing in terms of ideas and specifications, I'm good with those kinds of numbers. I can find, if you have an idea of what you're trying to develop based upon, let's say, a rifle cartridge, I'm pretty good about being able to find a good parent casing to work with. So I don't mind helping with that kind of development. Again, I want to build this as a good community for us to come, have some fun and develop some new things. So again, I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again.